A little indie game called Balatro took the world by storm last year, even managing to win a Game of the Year award.
Balatro.
Which might have you wondering, is it worth playing, and what platform is it best on? Well, first off, what even is Balatro? Balatro? I assume it's Balatro. Well, boiled down, Balatro is a roguelike poker game. Sounds odd, and it kinda is. And if you're unfamiliar with roguelikes, it's basically a game about making it as far as you can before inevitably dying. Or in this case, failing. Balatro combines this with some of the classic rules of poker to make a chill, yet engaging experience, which I think is perfectly suited for anyone casual or hardcore. And don't worry if you're not completely familiar with poker, it's not really poker, and the only thing it takes from that is basically the combinations of cards that you can score with, which are always available to see with a click of a button. So to begin with, when diving in, you pick your deck, which each has a different passive effect, your difficulty, and then begin a series of rounds. The objective of each is to score enough points with a limited number of hands and discards by playing poker hands to progress to the next round, and that's essentially the core of it. However, what adds spice to this experience is the addition of a shop and ways to enhance the deck you use. This is done by adding cards, removing cards, changing card suits, adding bonuses to their scoring, enhancing the points a hand is worth, and most importantly, collecting special joker cards that apply constant effects to your run. All this means that no two runs are alike, and there's always the fun of seeing what combos you can cook up with these randomized variations. For instance, I might come across a joker that boosts flushes, and combine that with one that boosts red cards, and now my diamond and heart flushes give me huge scores that can shoot me onto the next round with my first hand. But if I can't draw a flush, the bonuses to the other hands might not be enough to make it through the round. This gameplay loop is what I think really draws people in and can have you playing for hours, as on almost every run you unlock a new deck or new jokers, meaning next time there's an even bigger pool of interesting new cards to experiment with. Not to mention aiming for certain challenges and achievements to unlock more cards and more difficulties. All this said, however, it's not a huge game, like in terms of diversity and mechanics. The kind of game it is in the first 5 minutes is the kind of game it'll always be. It just brings enough diversity in cards and effects that those 5 minutes never seem to end. But if you're not sold on it, and you don't like it after your first run, or you don't think you will, you probably won't. It'll either hook you or it won't. And on a little side note, while I do enjoy it and have no problems with it, I don't really feel like it's a Game of the Year kind of game. Sure, it's fun and innovative, but I just thought I'd mention that, because if you're looking at this because it got Game of the Year and expecting some massive view-changing experience, then it's not that kind of game. It's just addictive and simple. If I am to be critical and look for flaws, I honestly come up short. But Balatro is the kind of game that you can only really score on a binary scale. It's simple, straightforward concept, and it either works or it doesn't. And it definitely does. Now, if you're still interested, you'd be wondering the next big question, which is what to get this on. And I'll preface to say that as far as I could tell, Balatro is identical on all platforms, be it PC, console, mobile, or Switch. And as the whole game is presented in a lightweight, non-intensive package, I'm certain you'll have no trouble running it perfectly on any of these. So, on which is it best? Personally, I think Balatro is the perfect mobile game, and normally I'm not a mobile gamer at all really. It's been years since I've played anything more than like Sudoku on my phone. But Balatro strikes a good balance between being able to keep you engaged for hours if you're stuck at a family gathering, or just something easy to jump in and out of when you have some spare minutes here or there. Especially as it's essentially turn-based, so nothing will happen if you put it down at any stage. And unless you're running it on a Nokia from the 2000s, I'm sure anyone with a phone will be able to run this with no problems. I mean, it's not wowing anyone with its graphics, that's for sure, but it doesn't need to. No one ever played poker to admire the sheen on a fresh stack of cards, or I assume not at least. And playing this on console or PC just felt like a bit of a waste, in the sense that without any sacrifices to gameplay, visuals, or comfort, I could play the same game in bed, or curled up on the couch, or on a train even. It's not a game that requires deft finger work that's tricky on a phone screen. It's perfectly playable and comfortable. Except, I should mention, and this is perhaps the only downside, I have heard some people say that they had trouble reading the elements on mobile because the text was not scaled up enough for a phone screen. But I personally had no issues whatsoever. Whether that's because the issue's already been addressed or because my phone screen's huge, I'm unsure. If you have a tablet, you could play it on that as well. Although, despite me initially playing it on a tablet and having it readily available, I kept returning to it on my phone to play it just because it's so convenient and comfortable. I should also mention that it's also cheaper on mobile as well compared to the others. This said, obviously all this goes for playing on Switch and Steam Deck as well, which would also be good options for it, but it's just that for me personally, phone makes the most sense. So, Balatro is a game you'll either love or hate, and it doesn't take much to see the kind of game it is. I know this review was kind of short, but there's really not that much to cover with this kind of game. You've heard just about all there is to it. If you enjoyed this review, I would really appreciate a like so the algorithm looks kindly upon me, and a subscribe to catch my upcoming reviews or whatever else I happen to deem worthy enough for public eyes. Anyway, thanks for watching, and catch ya.